can't be bothered waiting for the sun. Hi everyone, this is Margaret Hirsch at Home with Hirsch's, and thank you for joining us for our wellness talk today. And we've got the lovely Jess and Stacey from Connectable Life and the wonderful Shantae, who's going to be talking to us about all sorts of things that we don't know anything about. And so we're really looking forward to it. But I just thought I'd talk to you about a couple of things. And most importantly, are you stuck where you are in your life? You don't feel that you're stuck and you're just going nowhere. Well, what do you do when you feel stuck? So I'm just going to give you 3 things to do if you want to get unstuck in your life. And the first thing is you've got to identify your limiting beliefs or emotions. What is it that's holding you back? What belief or emotion is in your life saying you can't do this, don't do this, wait a minute, you know, something like that. You've got to identify those. Then you've got to clarify your vision and align your goals to your vision. You have to, everything has to be going in the same direction. You can't, I had, with my air conditioner, I own an air conditioning company. I said, my air conditioner not working. He said, madam, you've confused it. You've got it on heating in the lounge and cooling in the bedroom. No wonder it's not working. And I just thought, doesn't that so often happen to you where you've got 2 conflicting things in your life? No wonder you can't go forward. And the third thing is you've got to align your habits with your vision. You can't say, I want to be so fit and healthy, but actually I'm just going to sit on the couch and eat this packet of chips and drink this Coke. It doesn't work like that. So it all has to be aligned. So it's very, very simple when you actually think about it. And I want you to think, if you feel you're stuck in your life at the moment, how are you going to unstick yourself? And if you have unstuck yourself, can we just put in the comment section there, are you stuck in your life at the moment, or are you not? So it's a yes for yes, you're stuck, or N for no, you're not. So just put a Y or an N in the chat box below and send it to everyone. And lots of people feel that they're not stuck in their life. So that's really, really good. But a lot of people phone me and say, oh my God, I'm just stuck. I'm going nowhere. My life is just so boring. And I say, whose fault is that? Look in the mirror. So, but without further ado, I'm going to introduce Jess and Stacey from Connectable Life. They are so super. They're with us every week. And Stacey's going to introduce our amazing speaker, Shantae. So Stacey, off you go.
Wonderful. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. So I would like to ask a question. Who needs to hear about managing stress today? Because I know that this is something that I regularly need to hear about. So again, please will you let us know if this is a topic that you are wanting to hear about and you are going to be having many takeaways. So today, thank you so much, Shantae, for joining us. Shantae is a young and dynamic registered counselor with a passion for working with people, especially children and families. She is a qualified teacher and did her master's in early childhood intervention. She is eager to help clients learn to live and thrive with the hope to face their difficulties. She enforces a compassionate and comforting approach with the focus on each individual's strengths, as we all have difficulties to face. Some just need some more assistance than others. So welcome, Shantae, and thank you so much for helping us manage stress in our lives today.
Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, we all just sometimes need that little bit of extra. And I think this is the great platform to host that little bit of extra that's reachable from wherever you are at in your life. So thank you.
So without further ado, Shantae, tell us about what you do and what sort of people come to you and the sort of questions that they ask you when they're coming along there.
So in this climate that we all know as COVID that we've been experiencing for almost 2 years, the main thing that has come up is, or that walks through my door, it is a lot of stress related. It's burnout, it's not managing boundaries, because now we're working from home, everything is accessible, you're not leaving your office or going to the office at set times. So people have been experiencing a lot of stress because we're not managing our time. We're struggling to get that sense of, now I need to shut off because it's no longer work, it's now personal life at my home. So that's been a lot that's been going on in practice, or in my practice at the current moment. Yeah.
So Shantae, I just want to jump in there. Sorry, Margaret. Yeah. I think one of our main sort of aims with these chats that we have on Monday mornings is to just start normalizing things that people are experiencing, because there's a lot of stigmas involved when it comes to mental health in particular. And by having these chats, creating awareness, batting away at the stigma, the hope is that more people will be helped and reach out for help if they need further help. So stress, obviously, is something we can't avoid. It's going to happen to all of us on a daily basis. So last week we chatted a little bit about a stress bucket and the fact that we're all born with a stress bucket, and our stress bucket might be different sizes, you know, so it doesn't make one person stronger than the other. They will possibly just have a bigger built-in bucket. And every day things filter into these buckets, whether it be from personal life, work life, financial conflict, whatever it is. We have these things raining into our bucket, and then we have taps on the sides of the bucket, and that we can't control what rains in, but we can of course do something about the taps. And obviously we have the obvious things like eating good food, getting good rest, moving your body, mindfulness practice, things that we can do to filter out what's raining in so that the bucket doesn't overflow. How would you explain to people the difference between normal stress versus, okay, it's now too much? When does a person know, okay, this is normal stress, I can deal with this, it's just pushing me to meet a deadline, whatever it is, versus, okay, now it's too much?
So the first thing in any field of mental health is if it starts impacting your daily functioning, if it starts affecting how you respond, how you work, how you interact with people around you, are you so stressed that you can't do what is expected of you? You can't reach the deadline because you are so stressed. That stress is keeping you from actually going over into action. So if it has an impact on your daily life and functioning in any way, shape, or form, then you must know something needs to change, something needs to be done about this to try and better it or fix it or get that stress managed. So yes, like you said, all of us do experience stress. It just depends on the level of that stress. And we do get that stress can mobilize us. Stress can cause us to actually take action and go ahead and do what is expected. Some people are actually driven by that, whereas other people are less driven by that stress. So it's okay. And like you said, some of our buckets are bigger than others. We just need to learn how to adapt to that stress and to that what is coming into our bucket. So yes, I think the main thing that we need to look at is how is it impacting my life? How is it impacting my functioning? Can I go on my normal day to day with my stress, or is it keeping me? Do I just want to stay home? Do I want to sit back and be like, okay, let me try and get someone else to do it because I'm not capable? Then we need to start getting a little bit concerned or start changing things or bringing about change in our day or in our routine.
Okay, now I believe that stress is fear. I believe that you stress because you're fearful. And if you can get over the fear, and if you can face your fear, you've got to face your fear to live your dreams. You won't ever be able to live your dreams if you're holding back all the time and you're fearful, oh, I'm stressed. So I believe that if you're feeling stressed, you have a fear. And if you can face that fear and move through it, you'll move on and be stronger. What's your comment on that one?
It can definitely be linked to fear, because sometimes if we've experienced stress in the past, or if something has caused us that discomfort of feeling stressful, feeling you don't know how to fix it or how to manage that, then yes, I think it can start linking to fear, because you know what it felt like and you don't want to experience that again. So then people can start getting that fear that drives the stress. And the more we fear it, the more we stress. And it becomes this vicious cycle in the end of stress and fear and stress and fear. And that's sometimes also where anxiety or that feeling of anxiousness starts coming in, because that and fear is also very much linked with each other. So yeah, I think, yes, stress can be linked to fear. It is about how we see it, how we cognitively manage or project that fear, how it's going to have an impact on our stress or on our stress response in the end.
Cool.
Stacey,
Maybe we can ask, we've spoken about stresses, so obviously things that stress us out in our lives, and that you have the general things that people might all stress about, but there's also things that are personal to us. Maybe we can ask if there's anything that people are stressing about that is particular to them. If they pop it in the comments, maybe we can
tell us in the comment, what is it that stresses you out?
I'll tell you what's stressing me out at the moment. I'll be happy to share. So recently we have decided to, we've got 4 boys, as I'm sure most of you know, and the 3 older boys are all being educated in a different system. So my eldest son has gone off to boarding school in Pietermaritzburg. We live up the North Coast, and that was by his choice because we live in a small farming community. There aren't that many boys in his class, and there wasn't much in the way of sport, so he needed some more, and so he's been begging us for months to go to boarding school. So we eventually relented and sent him off. And then our second eldest was struggling at school, and we just had a bunch of issues. So we decided to homeschool him. And then our third born is in grade 1 at school. So all 3 of them, and then our fourth isn't ready for school yet. He's on the farm with my husband. So all 4 of my kids are being educated in a different system. It's really quite stressful, you know, having to juggle all of them, all their different timetables, now still driving 2.5 hours to fetch our eldest from boarding school, and me not being a teacher, having to try and now homeschool my son as well. So that has been a massive stress on me, and I'm scared that I'm going to drop the ball. I have this fear that somewhere along the line, I'm going to drop the ball. Either I forget a child, or Asha, who's at homeschool, is, I'm scared I'm going to forget a child. That is something that constantly I'm going, where is a child? You know,
I have done that before today, and guess what they live through? But they do keep on. My son's 45. I left him at tennis once, and we all got home and sat down to dinner. We said, something's missing. Oh my God, Richard's still waiting outside to watch the tennis lessons.
I love that. That makes me feel better.
So it does happen, but guess what? The kids live through it, and you live through it, and they do remind you of it even when they're 45. But you know,
character building.
Exactly, character building. So, and like with Asha, with homeschooling, I'm scared I'm not going to do a good enough job, you know. So I'm feeling quite stressed about my kids, and you know, everyone has these personal issues that they are feeling stressed about, and how to negotiate them, you know.
Yeah.
I can pop in here. Sorry, I see it is a little bit of a thing. Sometimes we don't want to share what stresses us out. We rather want to keep it to ourselves. So if you don't want to say what is stressing you, just state there at the moment, or have you ever experienced a stressor in your life? Just to get that little bit off your chest. But if you don't want to go into the details, don't feel pressured to do so.
Yeah, I also just want to pop in there. To me, stress is excessive worry. And I find what works really well for me is to write down my worries. So paying the bills, keeping your kids not lost, whatever it may be, write them down. And then I draw a table and I put 3 columns: past, present, future. And 9 times out of 10, we actually realize that most of our worries are things of the past that we can't now change, and things of the future that may not even happen. And then once I've got my past, present, and future, I look solely at the present. And then I now divide those into what I can control and what I can't control. And you might start with a list of 20 worries, and it comes down to 1 or 2 things that are actually within your control. And it just helps to sort of ground you and bring you back to the present. And again, we've spoken so much about mindfulness, but I truly believe that living in the now reduces a lot of worry and a lot of stress. And it's not to forget about what's happened in the past, and it's not to not plan for the future, but just to bring you back to here. To, you know, if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed, you know, for me, stress is feeling out of control. It's feeling excessively worried. And by doing that, it brings me back to now, and I feel more in control. Because once you know what you can control, then you then have an action plan. And if you have an action plan, then you're going to feel better about the stress. So that's just a little something that helps me. Shantae, I don't know if you have any tips, tools, suggestions when when that bucket is overflowing. Where do people start?
Okay, so directly linking to what you just said, Jess, sometimes we struggle because we feel out of control, and we stress about things that we can't control or that is out of our control. So a good thing that I've used in practice that you guys can try is, if you take out your hand, you can ask yourself, this thing that I'm currently thinking about, can it fit in my hand? Can I physically touch it? Is it something that is tangible at the moment? Let's say, for example, littering. If littering is something that bothers you and you feel out of control, if you drive past and you see there's a paper there, can you fit it in your hand? Yes, you actually can. So that is something that you can manage because you can pick it up. You can do something physically about the thing that is bothering you. It fits in your hand. Alternative to that is someone's opinion of you. Can that fit in your hand? No. Or someone else's action. Can you control what someone else says or does? No, you cannot. So it cannot fit in your hand. You can't grasp it. You can't take it. You can't make it yours. So that is a question that you can always try and ask yourself, because earlier we also spoke about changing the thought process, changing the cognition. And Margaret, I see there in the comment section, you also stated that decide not to be stressed and decide to have a wonderful life. That is a cognitive decision. That is something cognitively, thought-wise, that you can try and work on. So the same thing goes. If you cognitively ask yourself the question, is this something I can control? Does it fit in my hand? Yes or no? Should I stress about it? A different question that you can also ask yourself to challenge that thought process or that cognition is, how can it work for me? Can this thing that is stressing me out work for me? Can I mobilize it to work for me or not? A different question cognitively that you can ask yourself is along the lines of, this thing that is stressing me out, is it reality? Is it something that is actual stressor? Is it an actual thing? Or is it something that I have made up or fiction? It's something more of a fiction. I think that it might be. It's that what if this happens? It's stressing me out. So ask yourself once again the question of, is it fact or is it fiction? And I know sometimes it's not as easy as that. It's not just a clear line between the two. But if we debate this out with ourselves and we say to ourselves, okay, let me talk this out and say, is this stress that is impacting me now? Can I manage it in the sense of realizing that it is perhaps more in my mind? It's more fiction. It's not impacting me in the way that I thought it is or it would. So thinking, talking, debating these types of things out with yourself can help, but you need to then be aware, or you need to make sure that you get to that place of vulnerability with yourself, saying that, right, I can be open with myself. If I don't want to share it with someone else, let me be open, let me be vulnerable with myself and allow myself to say, this is stressing me out. I need to do these things or take these steps to do this. So basically, awareness is the first step to anything. If you're not aware that you are actively stressing or that you are worrying yourself about things that you cannot control, like Jess, you said, you know that you don't like things to be out of control. So you are aware, you have the awareness, and that is the first step. That is the first step that can change or that can start bringing about change. And I see also writing down is the best case as well. And that links with what Jess stated as well. Making your lists, making sure that if you are stressing about things that you need to do, then you can make your list, a tickable list, to make sure that you can actually mark and say, yes, okay, I've done this. And you also said you make 3 or 4 different lists to say that this is something that needs attention immediately. So basically prioritizing, making your, setting up a schedule for yourself and saying that this is ASAP. My deadline for this, I can't push it back. I can't extend it. So this is important. I need to be aware of these immediately. Then make a list and say, okay, these are things that I can perhaps push out or change, or I can push the deadline a little bit. So this is my second line, or I almost want to say, of things that need my attention. But if they need to push out, it would be okay because the deadline is only in a week. It's not tomorrow. So yes, prioritizing, making your lists and going through that is also a way to help us manage our stress. And then obviously having a support system. Sometimes we feel that if we speak to others, even if it's just a partner, a friend, a family member, we sometimes feel that we will burden them. We don't want to share because we are scared that they are now going to have more stress because they are now going to worry about us. So I'm not going to share my stresses because I don't want to stress you. But sometimes starting that conversation with someone and saying, you know what, I have some things that are bothering me. I was wondering if I can have a chat with you about it. If that person says yes, then they're open to take on your burden. They're open to taking on what you have to share with them. So managing the conversation first, if you are worried that that person is also experiencing stress and you don't want to add to their load. So yeah, I saw a few comments here, so I'm just going to read through them and see what's applicable there, if anyone else wants to say something.
So while you're doing that, I just want to ask, children stress us out a lot. And it's Stacey, and my daughter's got 3 sons. My son's got 2 sons, so we've got a lot of boys around. And you always try and give them the absolute best. Now, I know you specialize in play therapy. How does play therapy work, and how can we as parents engineer it with our children to make play therapy work so that if the child is stressing you out, how do you get to that child, and can you do it through play therapy?
Yeah, so just to clarify, I didn't specialize in play therapy. I just did an additional course on top of the master's in early childhood intervention, because I know there's a lot of gray areas in saying you are something that you are not. So just stating that for the record. But yes, play therapy is very beneficial, and parents can do that or maintain it. Parents themselves can benefit from play, because we think as adults we're not supposed to play anymore, and we do have that playful side, and that linking on a play level with your child will help you de-stress as well as a parent, just for the record there as well. So yes, if you go about playing with your child, sometimes we as parents want to or parents do tend to be a more directive when they play with their children. You want to kind of manage what the kid must play and when they must play, because we have a structured day and we want to fit play into that, that time frame that we have. So sometimes we then push a little bit of our own agenda in play. And that's the switch that I want us to try and make or move towards, is to allow the child to lead the play. So ask them, for example, what they want to play, and then listen to what they say. Listen to how they respond. Listen to, if they play with their dolls or their action figures, for example, listen to the type of conversations they are having with their dolls. And through that, you'll start picking up what is the primary aim or the primary focus in that child's life at the moment. If they are stressed, sometimes it will come out through their play. It will come out through what they say when they are playing. So yeah, sometimes we just need to allow them that creative freedom to play in their own words, in their own comfort zones, and then we must just listen and respond when they are playing where they are at. We need to meet them at their level, and through that we'll start realizing more things that are happening in our children's lives than asking them, oh, so how was your day? Sometimes they are just like, fine. fine. Yeah. What do you want me to say? Like, I don't know. But if you start playing or listening to what comes up in their play, you can realize that, oh, they had a friend today that actually said something to them that was mean, or whatever the case. And I know if you move more towards your teenagers or the older children, they don't play like the smaller ones do anymore. So they're more of that conversation needs to come in, which makes it more difficult, but a little bit more difficult, because you need to pull a little bit more. But maybe sometimes with older children, to get them to open up, we sometimes need to open up first. If you come and you say, sure, I've had a really hard day, I'm so tired, I had this and this and this, obviously within your boundaries, you know what you can tell your child and what not. But sometimes opening up to a child, even an older child, and sharing what has burdened you today, or one small thing, even if it's not a major thing in your day that happened, but a small thing like you bumped your toe today when you walked out the door, and for example, that will get them or set the tone for them to say, okay, well, my parent is sharing with me, so they've been vulnerable. Maybe I can open up about one or two of my things. So me opening up sets the tone for someone else to start feeling more comfortable to open up as well. That can help in some instances as well.
Yeah, it's so true.
Child who's like holding something in, and you really feel that they are holding something in. How do you go about trying to get them to open up and tell you the story? You be vulnerable yourself. You know, I had a hard time. I had a hard childhood. They say none of your children want to hear what a hard childhood. They're not interested that you had a really hard upbringing. Yeah. Not interested in them at all. How do you speak to them to get them to open up to you if you think they are having, say, a problem at school, or, you know? And I think about my poor son who had a huge problem at school, and I just smoothed over it and bluffed it didn't happen for many years, and so obviously it erupted, and then I had to take notice of it. So how do you start approaching a child to stop, so that they don't shut you off and say, I'm not going to talk about this?
Sometimes, if it's, for example, also a smaller child, allowing them that space to vent in a different way will give them that initial release. So, for example, getting them a pillow to scream in, or giving them a bean bag or one of those stress balls to push for. Let's say you give it to them for a while and say, just go, just do. Scream in your pillow if you want to, go hit the boxing bag if you want to, push the stress ball, so that they can get that initial release without someone pulling or tugging at them. Because sometimes if you have a lot going on and there's a lot of tension that you have in your mind, in your head, in your body, and you don't know how to release it, allowing that release without someone being present can help initially. So getting that initial frustration out in whichever way, and then approaching them and say to them, you know what, I realized that you've been feeling X, Y, and Z, or I realized, or I can see that you've been holding on to something. Just know that I am here if you want to talk. I am here if you want to go through what happened or anything like that. So pulling it out of them in a way that you're just letting them know that you are there. If you have a very resistant child, just letting them know you are there is already a big step, to say, you know what, I've realized. I can notice, I can sense, I can see that something is bothering you. I'm here. I am here if you want to talk, and if not, just let me know that something's up and we can find a different alternative, whether it be that we start taking you to see someone, or we find you a new friend that you can confide in, or just teaching them coping skills, going through emotional regulation, because sometimes children struggle to express what's bothering them because they don't have the emotional vocabulary, I almost want to say. They don't know how to express it or how to say what's going on. So teaching them that, or starting from young and introducing the emotional EQ, I almost want to say emotional intelligence from small, to say that it's okay to talk. It's okay to share, but you can only share once you know what is actually going on in your body. So that type of thing is something that can work with resistant children. But it is always a struggle, and each child is very much different. So it's not a one size fits all. You can't expect that one way. And I think, Stacey, you have the 4 children. You'll know as well that it's not a one size fits all. And that's where parenting needs to come in, and you need to see, okay, this child is more sensitive. This one is more resistant. So I need to find that balance of working with each one individually, but have a little balloon, I almost want to say, of what fits my family as a whole, with each and every little change that I need to make for each child in the home to make them express their feelings in the way that suits them. So it's tough, it's difficult working with children. It's not easy. I saw there was a comment as well where someone spoke about hats off to the educators and the teachers, hats off to parents. It's not easy, and a lot of children were home during lockdown, and you can see things are bothering, and the stress of having online schooling, it's tough, and it takes a toll. Just as online working takes a toll on us, imagine the toll that it takes on the child as well. So yeah, just try and find initial release for them and let them know that you are there if they are resistant to opening up on their own.
So now Sana says, as parents, we have the added stress of managing our stress in a way that creates a positive model for the children to do the same. So I think as parents, we just have to show that we do have stress, that we are handling it, and this is how we do it. And like anything else with children, that's not what you say to children, it's what you do, that they watch, and that's what they model. So I think it's always important to let them know that, you know, life is tough, there's no doubt about it, but you have to work your way through it. And I always say it's not a destination, it's a journey, and the journey of life, how it's going to take you. And I think to explain that to children today, where they're much more open than they were when I was bringing up my children, you didn't discuss this with children, where now we discuss everything with children. And then I come to the other part where today I find children are, I wouldn't say cheeky, but they don't speak with respect that the older people, us as older people have had. We're taught to teach with respect. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so that's very, very difficult as well, because allowing or creating the space for children to now be more open, and that conversation, opening that channel between adults and children, it is giving them the sense, or some children the sense that, okay, well, my parent is my friend, or my teacher is my friend. And it is difficult to manage, but that is just where the boundaries do come in. So we need to be open with our children, allow them, but still maintain the discipline side of things, feeling sorry for them in that moment when they come and they share, and having empathy and talking it through with them. It's good. It's fantastic to have that relationship with the child, but then do not let that keep you from now in an hour, the child's going to be naughty, and now you know, but he shared this with me. Don't let that prevent you from still parenting or still maintaining what your discipline approach or model or style is in your home. And that is where that thing comes from, where we need the boundaries, and children do want, the word has slipped out of my mind, I cannot draw on it, routine. They want routine. So if you are used to disciplining in a certain way, and now your child comes today and they're saying, oh, but I'm feeling this, that, and the other because of something that happened, because you have that open relationship. And like I said, an hour later, they do something that warrants you to take action, or to do something, or to take away a toy, or to put them in timeout, or whatever you do with your children. Take the step there, because if you're not going to, that's where they are going to start. You give them the pinky and they grab the whole hand, and they're going to start coming in with that sense of, okay, I know now that if I come to you with something, I'm feeling off, I'm feeling sad, I'm going to do whatever I want afterwards, because I know they're not going to take the action. They're not going to say something. The discipline is not going to be there. So we must just make sure that we still maintain our discipline boundaries with the child, although we have the open relationship with them. So that's just important, is to know that you as parent know what your boundaries are, you know what you allow and what you don't. So no matter what they say or do or come with, make sure that you still stick to that routine of, okay, well, there has to be a consequence for whatever has happened, but I'm supporting you and I'm listening to you, but the consequence is still there in that moment. So that can try and or work to prevent children start to take advantage of parents or from teachers at school. But it's not always easy, but you just try as best as possible to maintain your boundary and your consistency throughout. Consistency is key with children, with people in general, not just children. So
just to jump onto that, Shantae, I saw, sorry, Stace.
No, you carry on.
I saw, obviously we want our kids to have boundaries themselves so that when they go out into the big bad world, they, can put their foot down when they need to. But as parents, we obviously get very defensive when our kids say no to us. So I saw something the other day about this fine line of, allowing your child to sometimes say no to you so that they learn it's something they can do. So how do you find this balance of having your boundaries with your child, but then allowing your child to create their own boundaries so that they can learn it with you, practice it with you, and take it into the world?
The main thing is to look at what they are saying no to. If you have a set rule in the home, for example, that after dinner, it's cleanup time, whether it be cleaning up your room, cleaning up your toys, cleaning up to make sure you have everything ready for school for tomorrow. If that is your boundary, and they come and they say, well, no, sorry, that is not a boundary that you can allow them to cross over, because you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for them. Because if they don't realize that they need to clean up, they need to prepare for the next day, they are going to go into the world at school, at work, wherever, at university, and they are going to struggle with taking a duty from someone or something that you need to do from someone. So managing what they are saying no to, for example, or what they are going against you with. So if it is, for example, also with time for TV or electronics or whatever the case, if you are used to having a set routine there and they say, but no, I still want to watch 5 minutes of TV, manage it according to what your house rules are. But if they come to you and you say they need to eat their peas or they need to do whatever, and they say no, then you can allow them, but then ask them, okay, so why would you not like to eat that? And so in that way, you can start realizing what is the drive behind the no, not just accepting it as okay, fine, they said no, or sorry, my rule, you need to do it. Ask them, so why? Why do you not want to? Because we have a set rule in the home, for example, and you want to go and change that, or you don't want to go with the flow. So yes, we need to allow them their boundaries as well and allow them to start learning to say no, but just make sure that it doesn't go against their safety, your rules, or your bigger rules in general. So yeah, that's
another one that often comes up.
We can all put this to our staff as well. Those of you who've got businesses, you're dealing with a hectic staff like I am. I'm thinking, this is for children, but actually when you're dealing with the staff at work, they do talk back to you. You think, well, I taught you to be assertive because you've got to be assertive in our job, but don't be assertive to me. And then you say, well, I can't have that.
That's true.
Yeah. Yes, open discussions are what counts, hey? But yeah, with like kids being cheeky and kids talking back to you, research shows that very often it's parents who create that. It's often the parents who are being cheeky towards the kids or snappy and, shouting at them. And then they just patterning and mirroring you. I know for me, when my kids start becoming snappy, I have to take a step back and look at how I'm talking to them. And very often I'm being a bit short with them and I'm snapping at them, and they're just mirroring my stress and my behavior, you know. But somebody, Glenda said earlier, she said, you know, stress can be a good thing. And I was really pleased when I saw that, because I know a lot of different psychologists speak about this. And it's something, one of them, Caroline Leaf, that I follow, she often talks about good stress and how if you see the cup half full, it enables you to manage your stress better. It enables you, it encourages you to be more proactive with your stress and want to see it being accomplished and seeing it driving you. It's a really good motivating force, stress sometimes. So stress isn't always bad for us, and we need to often change that mindset that if we are stressed, it's something that we need to focus on and make it good for us, make ourselves proactive in that. Like what Jess was saying with writing it down and following the right path, you know?
Yeah, I love Dr. Caroline Leaf. Sorry, I just have to say I love her. I think she's amazing. She's a South African, actually Zimbabwean, Glenda, who came to South Africa and then now lives in the USA. And she's incredible. She studies the brain and how it works. And those of you who haven't followed her, please follow her. She's just...
Yeah, she is incredible.
So,
I actually met her a few years ago, and I've been following her for about 15 years. I've done most of her courses, and a couple of years ago when she came to South Africa, I hunted her down and I met her, and I got her to sign all my books because she helped change my life.
Yeah,
so
she really says it like it is. Now, so Shante, when people come to you and you realize you can change their life, I think it must be quite empowering for you to say that your life is going this way, it's completely the wrong direction. I can help you change it. How do you, I mean, I'm really a pushy person because I'm a salesperson. So I'm used to pushing people. Now, this is definitely the right thing for you, but you can't say that. You have to make the person think they've thought that thing out themselves.
Yeah, so that is sometimes very difficult. And I must say, some days you do get home and you're like, why does this client keep coming back? Because I'm trying my best, but everything I say, the client's got something back and they're like, no, but. And then I'm like, please just realize something. But yes, sometimes it is very tough. But yeah, you can't push anyone because, like I mentioned earlier as well, if that awareness isn't there, you can push as much as you want, you can force as much as you want. That person's not going to realize, change is not going to come as we wanted to as a therapist. So you need to ask the question and pose the question in a way that the person realizes, oh, okay, but this is something that I've been doing, or this is something that I might need to change. And that's the thing with questioning and going through that route. That's the best way to try and get the client to awareness, to try and realize, because they need to want that change. And what I always say is to the client when you ask them, do you think this is possible? The client's always like, I don't know, maybe. And I said, okay, can you try? Try is the best thing to do. I don't want you to say that I will do it. I want you to say that you will try. Because if you at least try actively every day, one step forward towards that goal that you are working towards is a step closer. It's a step, even if it's a baby step, even if it's a millimeter, it's that millimeter closer to your goal that you're working towards. And that's the other thing, goal setting. Asking the client what it is that they would like to work towards. What do they want to change? What is something that they want to see change in their life? And then from there, go on, set the goal. They need to set their own personal goals, because that intrinsic motivation is that much more powerful than extrinsic motivation. Sometimes the extrinsic, it does drive us more, but the intrinsic is more powerful. It can get us to be mobilized or change that much faster or better or healthier change comes about from the intrinsic motivation. So goal setting, asking the client to set their own goals. So I want to ask you guys then in the comments, have you ever set a goal for yourself, or do you have a goal for the next month of your life, or for the next year, let's say 2020? Do you have a goal? And if you do, that's fantastic. If you don't, set small ones. Set one small goal for yourself to make sure that at least there's something that you're working towards, whether it's I just want to get to tomorrow. That's a goal. Just set how you want to get to tomorrow. Make it a little bit more specific, because sometimes setting goals way in advance, it also stresses us out. So that's counterproductive. Have them smaller goals, and you can always update or change the goal as you go, but don't make it out of your reach and stress yourself out in the end more than we aiming to do. So I think that is the best way for a client to come to their own realization, is asking questions, asking them to set their own goals. And then every week or every session you have, you check in and you ask, because I'm basically holding that client then accountable for their goals. So that's also then the big aim, is you guys who have goals, do you have someone that keeps you accountable? That's the next question. If you don't, ask a friend, ask a family member, ask anyone in your community, in your circle that you have a good relationship with. Share your goals with them and let them check in with your goals, because someone that keeps us accountable, it does help us a little bit more on our journey as well. And that's why we weren't placed alone on this earth. We weren't created to be isolated beings. So yes, it's fine if you keep yourself accountable. It's like I said, it's that intrinsic motivation. It does work, but sometimes having someone to just help you through the journey, being there as a support, not necessarily reminding you what you need to do, but just asking, how's it going? I heard you doing this, that, or the other, or I heard you want to reach this. How's it going? Just someone asking you a question, checking in on you on your journey with your own goal.
Yeah, and I think
goal. Sorry,
Margaret. We're all
okay.
No, you go. I've had my two.
Yeah, having an accountability partner is huge, and that's where I love therapy so much, because it is once a week, you're sitting in front of the person, and they are specifically for that hour, all they are doing is caring about you, is asking you about your goals. Have you set them? Are you achieving them? What steps are you taking? They are keeping you accountable, and that is powerful. My husband sees a health coach, and that health coach has got him, and it has done him the world of difference. It's not me. I'm not the nagging person. He has got somebody else nagging him, who has chosen to have nagging him, and who he pays. And it is phenomenal, because the same, he's like, I'm not going to pay this person and do nothing about it. I'm going to pay them, and I'm actually going to get results from my money. So there's so much to be achieved through that. So thank you for bringing that up. It's really powerful.
Yeah, and what about starting with the end in mind? People set their goals and they set, the little bits, but I think you've got to start with the end in mind. What's the end result that you want, and why do you want this goal? And that Dr. Stephen Covey teaches, start with the end in mind. And I think it's so important that what is my end result? Okay, and then you work backwards down to today, and then inadvertently you've set the steps that you need to take to get to that goal. To me, that's the most powerful thing. What do you think about that, Shante?
Yeah, because you know where you want to go. That's the main thing. You know what your primary aim is. So your end that you have in mind, but then breaking it up for yourself into smaller, manageable steps. That's how you get to the end, because we can't expect to have an end, but nothing in between. And then we want to we sometimes have this idea that, okay, if I have the end in mind, I now all of a sudden need to jump, leap, fly. I don't know how we need to get to the end. So that's where the smaller manageable goals come in between. And that's, Margaret, as you said as well, basically taking it back and then having those small steps that you need to climb to get to your end goal. So yes, fantastic. The end goal is great, because if we don't have an end goal, the small goal is basically nothing, because what is the small goal achieving? Where's the small goal taking me if I don't have a big goal that the small goal is pushing me towards? So yeah, that's also a very good way to see it. But the small goals in between is very important as well as the end goal.
And I think as women, we need to discuss these things with other women. And, you know, it's not good discussing it with a man, because the man will just say, well, you know, is this your problem? Here's your answer.
Fixed.
Women, we need to chew the cud, you know. And it says, but you've asked me that the other day. I need to ask you it again. I need to discuss it. You're really not interested. And that's why I love my girlfriends, because you can have a discussion. You can sit there with your cup of coffee and go over the same thing 3 times. And she'll never say, but you told me that yesterday. I'm not interested in you today. And that's why I'm trying to really build up the women's groups that we have, and we had before COVID. We're building them up again now, because women need to talk to other women. I think it's so important that, because we think differently from men, there's no doubt about it. And I think, and we love men, don't get me wrong. I've been married to one for 50 years. But by the same token, it's also nice to have your girlfriends to discuss things with. And I think as women, we haven't spent enough time nurturing our girlfriends and building up our girlfriends. It's only when you get older that you really appreciate those girlfriends that you did nurture. So my take to the girls out there is build up your friends, your actual girlfriends that you can trust. And you know how you know it's a friend? Because when they know what you like and they like you anyway, that's your friend, and you can build them up, and you've got to give them something and not expect anything in return. And I think that really makes such a big difference. And that's what we need to do as women today. Shante, how important do you think girlfriends are?
Very. That's very important, because it stems back to that fact of support system. Everything comes back to support. Everything is easier if we have someone to just bounce it off of. Sometimes we think something is X big, but once we share it with someone else, and whether that be your girlfriend or someone that you see as being very close to you, your best friend, they can be like, okay, yes, but let's talk it out. Let's see how this thing is perhaps not as big as you think, because it's that thing of, if we are experiencing something, you in it, you right there. We have this vision of this immediate confined problem, whereas your friend or your girlfriend is coming from outside. They see it from a different perspective. And if you take a step back or a step outside of your problem or your stressor, it's sometimes that much easier to try and see what needs to be done. Because from right there, you can't see. It's like putting a photo in front of your face, but like directly in front of your eyes. You are going to see bits and pieces of it because your vision will span for a certain space. But once you start taking it a little bit further away, you get a clearer picture. Take it a little bit more, you get a clearer picture. And that's the thing. A friend or a girlfriend can help you to do that. They can help you to see it from a different perspective, or to see things that are not necessarily in your frame of reference at that moment. So I think it's good. It's important. We need to make time to see our friends, to spend quality time with them, because sometimes we make appointments and we see people, but technology comes in the way. Your phone rings, or you get a message, and you on your phone, you have things going through your head. Oh, after this meeting, I still need to do X, Y, and Z. So make sure then, just when you spend that time with your friends or your girlfriends, that it is really quality time. It's time with limited distractions. Try and be as present as you can. If a thought pops up in your mind, it's normal, it's natural, it is something that happens. We can't always just push everything aside, but make sure then to just say, okay, I hear you, I'll deal with you a little bit later. I'm present in this moment. So just keep reminding yourself of being present with your girlfriends in that moment that you have with them.
Yeah, well, I think what you've done today has been so amazing. We're just going to have a quick wrap up now. Jess, from your side, what have you learned today?
I think firstly, just that stress is normal. And not only is it normal, but it's needed, you know, in the right amounts. It's our petrol. to do whatever it is that we need to do, and to move us forward, to drive us forward, to get out of that dangerous situation, or to meet that deadline, or whatever it is. It's normal, it's needed, and to just realize that, because I think once we realize that, it takes a bit of the stress off. We start stressing about our stress, and then it all just becomes a bit much. And then we always talk about awareness, and I'm so glad Shante has brought it up a couple of times today as well, because it really is where it starts. It's just knowing yourself. And in this case, talking about stress, know your stress bucket, know the size of it, know when it's becoming too much, know what you can do to open those taps, and just open those taps. It doesn't have to be a huge amount. We always think it needs to be a lot of time and that we don't have the time, but it's 5 minutes on each tap a day. And, that bucket won't overflow, basically. But thanks so much, Shante. I learned a lot about parenting as well. Didn't expect that, but it was great.
Yeah. I'm happy.
And I love the part about the play therapy. I think it's fantastic. I mean, my kids are only 3 and 5, but still you fetch them from school and you get next to no information. And then you'll get home and you jump in the pool and you start swimming. And just slowly the little stories start coming out about, what was on their sandwich and who they spoke to and what they played with. And just naturally while you're swimming or playing or doing whatever it is. So I think it's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Stacey, you always learn a lot. I know you love it. So what did you learn?
I love it. Yeah, the same. I mean, the same as Jess. And just talking about play therapy, I mean, that was huge, because we're in that space of small kids. It's, while you were talking, I just thought, oh, I need to go back to playing card games with my boys, because that was our thing, it would just open this whole, explosion of conversations.
Because I love board games. I love playing Monopoly with my grandsons. You can teach them about business and about money and how valuable it is and how you don't waste it and that type of thing. So I think that's amazing. Shante, thank you so much for being our guest speaker today. Sorry. And Stacey, who's talking to us next week? Have you got
next week we've got Wolfgang, and it's on a very interesting topic. It's on basically energy. So
energy blockers and boosters. So what blocks your energy and what boosts your energy?
Oh, wow. That's going to be
We're going to learn lots.
It's going to be very interesting.
Thank you so much for today. It's been amazing. Just a quick wrap up to everybody from you. And we've had almost 40 people on the whole time that we've been here today. As he's dropped to 38 now. But it's been amazing. And to the people out there, to ask for help. We don't like to ask for help. We think we're going to just do it all ourselves. But at the end of the day, people like you are specialists in what you do. How do we go about asking for help?
Sometimes, like I touched briefly on it earlier as well, we can't help others or be there for others that we love if we don't take care of ourselves. So that's the driving point or the driving force that you can try and remind yourself of. If you want to be there for your kids, if you want to be there for your spouse, if you want to be there for your partner, your friend, your family, look inwards first. Take care of yourself first, because you can't pour from an empty cup. And that is the reality of the matter. So make sure that you take care of yourself. Start doing self-care things, small things throughout your week, throughout your day. Make sure that you listen to your body. That's also something. Feel where the tension's at. If you feel headache, if you feel neck and shoulder spasms, you stressing about something, if you're grinding your teeth, if you're gritting your teeth, you stressing about something, listen to what your body is telling you. Don't just shoot it off as, oh, I'm just tired. Start listening, because that is bringing the awareness. Your body is trying to make you aware. So just listen, take it in, and then take the small steps to try and get that. But you can't help others or care for others if you don't care for yourself. And that's the main thing. So listen to yourself, take care of yourself, and make your mental health a priority just as much as you would make anyone else's.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. I'm using myself now. I was really enjoying. I'm working at a store today, which is very busy, which I'm very thrilled to say. So yeah, thank you so much, and thank you to everybody who joined us today. Thank you to Stacey and Jess, and to Glenda who set it all up, and to all our regulars like Mary Jean who's here every week. We really look forward to seeing you next week. And what's going to be blocking your emotions? Well, join us next week at 9 o'clock, and you'll find out. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shante. Thanks,
everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Mary Jean. Bye.